After claiming massive Saudi losses, have the Houthis struck the kingdom again for a second straight day with new drone attacks? Did Mojtaba's proxy launch 2 drone attacks in a single day, targeting Najran airport and another Saudi Aramco facility? Has a Saudi airport come under Houthi fire again, after the group said its drone struck a sensitive site in Najran? What triggered the Houthis' latest push deep into Saudi territory, as Yahya Saree signals a response is underway? A day after claiming mass Saudi losses, the Houthis said they struck the kingdom again, opening a second straight day of reported cross-border drone operations. Yemen's Houthis claimed 2 new drone attacks inside Saudi Arabia on August 20th, targeting sites in the kingdom's southern border region. The Iran-backed group said both operations targeted the southern region of Najran, an area close to Yemen that has repeatedly faced Houthi drone attacks. One drone operation targeted what the Houthis called a sensitive site at Najran airport, though the group did not identify the facility allegedly struck. A second drone operation targeted an Aramco facility in Najran, according to AFP, placing Saudi energy infrastructure back in the group's crosshairs. Houthi spokesman Yahya Saree claimed both drone operations achieved their objectives, presenting the attacks as successful retaliatory strikes against Saudi targets. Saree linked the attacks to alleged Saudi drone incursions over Yemen's Saada governorate, accusing Riyadh of repeatedly violating Yemeni airspace. The Houthis warned they would continue responding to any incursions into Yemeni airspace, signaling that more drone attacks could follow if the violations persist. The Najran claims came just a day after the Houthis announced other attacks on Saudi forces, widening their reported campaign against the kingdom and its allies. On August 19th, Saree claimed major attacks on Saudi troops and Saudi-linked shipping, describing them as part of a month-long series of operations. The Houthis claimed hundreds of Saudi troops were killed or wounded in those operations, alongside reported damage to military equipment and Saudi-aligned vessels.
O'Day. The Yemeni armed forces possess the strength to dictate the terms of engagement. With God's help, they have successfully established 3 such equations. The first is blockade for blockade, wherein we have imposed a tight siege on the enemy, preventing the passage of even a single ship. The second is striking Saudi troop concentrations wherever they are located. The third is protecting Yemen's sovereignty and countering any enemy incursions. In implementation of the blockade for blockade equation, and in the period between the announcement of the ban on maritime navigation for Saudi enemy on July 20th and the present day, August 19th, the Yemeni armed forces have successfully targeted 8 Saudi oil tankers, 5 in the Red Sea and 3 in the Gulf of Aden and the Arabian Sea. Additionally, 48 Saudi oil tankers were prevented from passing and forced to turn back. 34 were blocked in the Arabian Sea and Indian Ocean, and 14 were blocked in the Red Sea. As part of the response to Saudi aggression against Sana'a airport and the port of Hodeidah, and to enforce the equation protecting Yemeni sovereignty against airspace violations, particularly over the Saada and Hajj governorates, the Yemeni armed forces carried out 9 military operations. These targeted Yanbu, Najran, Jizan, Aba, and oil supply infrastructure in the eastern province. Furthermore, to enforce the equation of targeting Saudi troop concentrations wherever they exist, the armed forces conducted 14 military operations. These targeted Saudi enemy concentrations in Al-Rawaiq, Al-Abyar, Al-Wadiya, Marib, and Al-Mukha, as well as enemy ships and boats transporting equipment and troops. The results of these operations included the following: hundreds of Saudi enemy troops, including Saudi commanders and officers, were killed or wounded. A large number of depots and pieces of equipment belonging to Saudi enemy concentrations were set ablaze and destroyed. 2 military landing vessels transporting Saudi weapons and troop reinforcements in Al-Mukha were set ablaze and sunk. More than 10 gunboats belonging to Saudi-led forces, which have been engaging in acts of piracy, banditry, and looting in the Red Sea under Saudi direction, were set ablaze and sunk. We warn the Saudi regime against the dangers of escalating the situation. Any comprehensive escalation will be met with a comprehensive escalation. The Saudi regime has no choice but to lift the blockade and implement the agreed-upon terms, lifting the blockade, ending the aggression, paying salaries, withdrawing occupying forces, and leaving the Yemeni people's wealth to the people themselves. We advise our misled fellow countrymen to return and leave the enemy camps. They are Yemenis, and we do not wish to target them or see them become casualties.
Yemen's internationally recognized government has issued a stark claim amid rising tensions, warning of a possible Houthi move near Bab al-Mandeb. The government's information minister claimed Houthi rebels are plotting to seize territory near Bab al-Mandeb, potentially expanding their strategic reach. The minister told AFP that the Iran-backed proxy is seeking to expand its presence along Yemen's Red Sea coast and nearby strategic areas. If true, the move could give the Houthis tighter control over the crucial shipping route, raising concerns for regional trade and security. The Houthis could also threaten Saudi Arabia's oil exports by placing greater pressure on the Red Sea route, adding another layer to the crisis. Yemen's information minister said, and I quote, "The Houthi militia is working to create the conditions for seizing control of the Bab el-Mandeb Strait by expanding its presence along the western coast and attempting to control strategic Yemeni islands in the Red Sea, potentially strengthening its position around the vital waterway." The Houthi strategy is visible through repeated targeting of ports, docks, civilian infrastructure, ships and government naval capabilities. End quote. The Houthis do not control the Bab al-Mandeb coastal areas, but they do hold the key Yemeni port city of Hodeidah. Yemen's port city of Mocha has also been bearing the heavy brunt of Houthi missile and drone attacks, intensifying pressure along the Red Sea coast. A member of Yemen's national resistance forces alleged that the Houthis want to establish a strategic foothold near Bab al-Mandeb, according to AFP. In a major twist, Houthi military sources reportedly confirmed that an operation is indeed ready to take off, raising fresh questions over its objective. However, the Houthis allege that the operation is intended to seize areas south of Hodeidah rather than directly capture Bab al-Mandeb, according to AFP. Around 2,000 Houthi fighters are reportedly ready for deployment along Yemen's western coast, AFP claimed, potentially signaling a major mobilization. A Yemeni official alleged that the Houthis want to turn Bab al-Mandeb into another Strait of Hormuz, transforming the strategic waterway into a major pressure point. If the Houthis gain greater control, their ally Tehran could stand to gain the most, with increased strategic access to the Bab al-Mandeb and Red Sea corridor.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.